Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, which is presented to you by Power Planter Earth Augers, the official digging tool. To find the right size for your digging project, visit powerplanter.com. Now here are your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Do you have a lot of apples? Do you have a lot of pears? You're planning on getting a lot of apples or a lot of pears? What do you want to do with them? What can you do with them? We've got some great suggestions for you, and we'll see how many of these we can get through. But we had a pear tree. It has ceased to exist. It's still upright standing, but it's all but
it's sad.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all but sad. So
maybe you went pear picking, apple picking. Maybe you have
or
a
you
friend,
will,
or you will, or you have a friend or family member who's like, here's a bucket of pears.
Yeah, you want pears? You want apples? And you say yes, and they dump a pickup truck load on the porch. It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
So we can can them. We can can them as whole apples or pears. We can also make a syrup out of them, or we can can them as being pear sauce or applesauce. So those are some options. Now, Holly, whenever we can these, do we need to peel them, or can we leave the skin on, or what's recommended?
You want to peel them.
So
okay. What we did is we would take our peeler thing, the crank peeler, whatever as a peeler, crank peeler, and then we would just kind of chop them up a little bit, and then we would peel them. Then we would can them.
Can them, yeah.
And you can can them in their own juice. You can can them in, I think, water. You'd have to look.
Peaches you can do in water. I'm not sure about apples or pears, but you want to find a reputable source that is safe from the National Home for Food Preservation, Ball Canning, Better Homes and Gardens, other reputable sources out there for the canning procedure. Now, you can also make vinegar out of the apples and or the pears.
The scraps.
Mm-hmm. Or you can just chunk them up and do it that way, too.
Right.
People are not aware that is that simple. I mean, it takes about 4 months, realistically, to get that apple cider vinegar or that pear cider vinegar, but you can do it and do it very, very easily.
Right. It's part of a fermentation process. And, so you would just simply... we have kind of some directions on our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. But you have to, there's a process with the scraps or just them themselves, and you let it reduce, you let it do its thing, and you can make vinegar.
You can make fresh pie, or you can pear pie filling or apple pie filling, so it's ready to dump into the casing of the pie, the shell, the crust.
The casing.
The casing. The shell of the crust of the pie, and then you put the top on, and then you put it in the oven. When we do can it in the pear pie or the pie filling procedure, what do we need to know?
Sure. So, you need to get something called clear gel.
Yep.
And what that is it helps make the, I don't know.
It's the gel.
Makes it the gel.
The jelly, the gel-like consistency that you see in the cherries you get in the can, in the jar, in the store, that type of thing. Yeah.
So some recipes say to use cornstarch.
Don't do that.
You don't want to do that. It's going to be chunky and weird, and it's going to look like raw chicken in a jar. So you want to get clear gel. You can only buy clear gel online. And
there's places where, and it does have an expiration date.
Yeah.
So you don't want to buy a 5-pound bag or a tub if you're not going to intend to use that over, a certain amount of time.
Right.
So you can make pear pie filling, apple pie filling, that type of thing. It's very easy to do. And you can also make pies and then freeze them whole, as we have done. And it worked very well. We pulled them out of the freezer. We had it encased in a freezer bag, and then we pulled them out and heated it up, and it worked very well. Worked really good. What's another ideal here? Snack. We can dehydrate our apples and pears.
Yeah, we've done this, and you can get creative. You can do anything where you, before you dehydrate them, you sprinkle some cinnamon on them. They make a really great snack, and
make the house smell good.
And, kids typically like that kind of stuff. So, if you try that.
When you dehydrate these, we're not dehydrating them until they're as dry as a 2x4. There's a certain consistency of moisture you need in that in order for it to be
then they're kind of
edible, I guess would be the term.
They're kind of chewy, but still good.
Pear chutney or apple chutney. What is a chutney, first of all? People may not know what this addition to a dish is.
Some people would probably call it like a compote as well. It's just a nice cooked fruit, chopped cooked fruit, dish.
Okay.
I don't know,
What is it used
it's
for?
It's like a condiment.
Okay.
So what you do is I made pear, I think it was dried cherry chutney. And so you chop the pears, you kind of reduce it down with some sugar and the chopped cherries, and it becomes sweet. You can can it, and then you can put it on things like pork or ham, or even just like toast. It's almost kind of like a jam, but not as jammy.
And we can juice these apples and pears. If you're advanced, you can make apple cider. If you just want to can the juice, you can run it through a juicer, and there's a way of separating the pulp so you can have more clear juice in the apple and the pear form. It takes a little time, but it's well worth it. I guess, if you do it right, you can make apple. Is there such thing as apple wine and pear wine? Is there not? Ways that people do that?
I think that, maybe like a wine or like a cider.
Yeah, cider would be the term that would be used there. You can also make, really delicious honey with the skins of the apples and the pears. I will caution you that if you're trying to eliminate sugar from your diet, this is not the dish that you want to use, because
no, you add a lot of sugar.
You add cups upon cups upon cups of sugar in order to get the consistency of honey. But you use the skins of both of these and you cook them down. So that is something that we have done, and it does work, but it does take a lot of sugar in order to do such.
Right. So there's that. And then you can make jam and jelly with it as well. And that's something that's definitely, a lot of people like apple jelly, or you could do like pear jelly. But jam, I made on our website, there's this apple lemon honey jam or something like that. Yeah, apple lemon honey jam. That's really good.
What's the difference between a jam and a jelly?
Jelly doesn't have the chunks of fruit. Jam does.
Okay. Yeah. Jam is smooth.
Right.
Okay.
No, jelly.
Jelly is smooth. Jam has the actual items in it. Okay.
You could also make apple or pear juice jelly.
Uh-huh.
You can make that really easily with the juice.
All right. We can freeze the pears. That's another option when it comes to it. If you don't want to can them, you can freeze apples as well in that instance. And there's a lot of different. Pear butter, apple butter is a good option. That's another canning procedure, but you could do that in the refrigerator. Make it refrigerator apple butter, refrigerator pear butter. Is that how? Or is that an iffy one that we're not?
Yeah, no, you could do it in the fridge. You could leave it in the fridge or the freezer, but it's nice because you don't have to peel the apples or the pears. You just grind them. One step. Grind them, whether it be in a food processor or a grinder, and then the way we did it is we put it in a crock pot. You offset the lid so that the steam or whatever can
evaporate,
and then it cooks down. It reduces down, and it's really good. And you don't have to add any sugar, so it's concentrated flavors,
all natural. And with the juicing, when we juiced, we didn't add any sugar. It was, we juiced it. We pulled the pulp out of it, put it in the jar, put it in the water bath canner, and sealed the jars up. Now, obviously, I guess that would be classified as non-raw vegan because we accelerated the temperature and pasteurized it. I guess would be that's how we've done it. That's how you do it in order to safely can it.
Right.
In order that way, but you could take and just juice it and then freeze that juice, and you wouldn't wouldn't raise the temperature up. So maybe you get more beneficial properties out of that juice.
Yeah.
So.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.